Hi, I'm Emma, she, her.
And I'm Jess, she, her.
And this is Fluff,
the podcast about friendship, love, unfortunate failure, and fun. How funny you should be here.
I didn't expect to have you here.
Oh, listeners, fancy you tuning in.
What a coincidence.
Yeah. Or did you just know that the episode was coming and you wanted to hear about our episode on coincidence? So you may know that Emma and I are quite interested in the otherworldly. We're quite firm believers in a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because we don't think that the planet is quite as black and white, you might say, as standard and straight and narrow as we may think.
I guess, we can never know everything, so there's got to be things we don't know.
Yeah. And when matters of coincidence happen, when you're just like, oh my gosh, how is this happening? This is so strange. Common phrases might be like, what are the chances that I bump into you here? Or, yeah, this is so strange that we like the same things. And we're fascinated by that. And we kind of want to know a little bit more about it. So we are definitely learning with you. And all of our research we're going to be meandering through as we go. But in general, a coincidence is something that is unlikely to happen. Mm-hmm. And when it does, it's kind of either cool or sometimes like, oh God.
Yeah, the very improbable.
Yes.
Or it seems like it is that way, I guess.
So, podcast listeners, we are recording this in the time of quarantine of COVID-19. I've moved in with Emma and Ingrid, and I'm living here. And I suppose I lost a lot of stuff from COVID-19. I lost a lot of work. I also was about to go and fly to Thailand to spend time with somebody who deep feelings were blossoming for, or had blossomed, and we were going to go and seal them. The seal could not be had. However,
so cryptic.
Basically, I fancy somebody who lives currently in a different country. I was at the airport, couldn't get on the plane because of COVID. However, through this, Emma and I had already started recording our first Fluff episodes. We discussed its future. However, because being in quarantine together, as you can tell, we've enabled it to grow faster and also slicker than we could have ever done if we were living apart.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been able to make a trailer together as we thought maybe. We wouldn't have been able to spend this much time on 2 episodes a week, creating photo content.
Yeah. Now, I wonder if that is coincidence. I don't know if that is coincidence because it's not that it was maybe improbable that we would live together at some point and make this, but it is something maybe more was meant to be this way. Yes. You weren't meant to go to Thailand at that point. We were meant to be living in the same place when this started. And I like to lead my life through, well, if that didn't happen for me, I'm meant to do something different. Yes. Because when I look back at the things that went wrong or the changes in my life, I've always found a better path than what I originally imagined.
Which is helpful when something might be really painful when it doesn't happen at first or things don't go as planned. But then when the end result happens, you're like, oh, thank God this was it.
It's like thinking that the universe has a better plan for you or a more appropriate plan for you.
Yeah.
So maybe not an immediate coincidence, but definitely a different path that you couldn't have anticipated.
Yeah. And I'm sure during quarantine, a lot of us have experienced either a re-establishment of talking to some people that we hadn't for years, making new friends. During my dance classes live on Instagram, they're all made up of people that I've never met before, and now we're good friends.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I think quarantine, living through a pandemic is, I don't know, is that a coincidence? It's definitely something that was improbable.
Yeah.
And that we are currently living through. Yeah. Or at least the population thought it was improbable. Improbable. I'm not sure that people who study pandemics thought it was improbable. In fact, I think the opposite. I think they've been telling governments to prepare for a long time.
Yes.
But it seems like, wow, what a strange time.
Yeah. And this is our life now and it's our future. And in a way, It's a
As in fluff
disaster.
is our life and our future, not the pandemic.
Oh,
I don't want to say the pandemic is our future.
I'd say the results of it, though, we are going to be affected for a long time to come by this. But I suppose in moments of fear, or sadness, we can draw upon, when strong enough, the good things that have happened from it. Because there are some good things that have happened.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go and cuddle the person that I wanted to cuddle. However, I have openly said this. I'm like, also, because the pandemic was happening, I'm actually glad I couldn't fly, because otherwise we would have been stuck in a beach hut together for months. Whereas actually the most beneficial thing to my life right now is to be with Emma doing Fluff. And just to be with Emma.
She has to say that every day to believe it. To convince herself that she didn't want to be in a beach hut with the person she's interested in for months and months and months. But yeah, this has been amazing, this Fluff journey, and definitely wouldn't have happened without COVID. Maybe at such a pace and to such a level. But before we get too deep into what's coincidence and what is meant to be, what are we drinking?
So, Emma, this is called the Coinkydonk. Now, this actually comes from my parent, Josie, who I grew up and everything was always called a Coinkydonk.
Oh, really?
Whenever anything happened, like, oh, what a Coinkydonk. Probably very British.
Yeah. You know what? We said coinkydink.
Oh, well, there we go then. Okay, so a coinkydonk, a coinkydink. And in it, prepare yourself. Grip on tight, Emma Bar.
Is it strong?
I think it's going to be strong. It is only...
It doesn't look strong.
Yeah,
that's the scary thing.
It is only bourbon and tinned apricot juice and apricot slices, which I put in like a little blender, just a bit of ice, and have blended it. So I have no idea what it's going to taste like. But why, you ask, have I blended bourbon with fresh apricots? Well, tinned apricots. Yeah. Let's not beat around the bush here. That is because there was a bit of a coincidence the other day on our food episode. So I saw this jar in Emma and Ingrid's fridge, and I could see it was like some kind of fruity goodness. And I was like, what is that? That looks intriguing. But Ingrid has a lot of stuff from Italy here, which we have to be very careful with, because I can't go like draping all the balsamic vinegar over my salads. Because
she does it anyway.
But I do it anyway because she loves me. That's all right, isn't it, Ingrid?
These products have been driven from Italy back to the UK. So they're not just, you can't just get them in the shop next door.
Yes, and they taste so
divine.
Good. So good.
Yeah.
And I saw this jar of something and I was like, no, Jessica, do not touch it. And then Emma went and put it after that on my cracker for the secret food combination, which I had to guess. So I was like, coincidence. I saw it, had been thinking about it, wanted to try it, but knew that it was not my place, maybe.
Aww.
And then Emma went and spread it on my jar. And Emma went and spread it on my cracker. And honestly, I just don't think that jar would have surfaced if it wasn't for needing a food combination that day.
No, obviously it wouldn't have. Yeah, all right. So, a coinky dinky donk.
Oh, that's a good name. Cheers.
Cheers. I mean, it's just bourbon.
I like it.
That's all I taste.
You can taste the apricot.
You love the taste of alcohol.
Yeah, it's strong. Emma might have maybe blended a couple more apricots. We are going to be pooping like a trooper after this. You're welcome, Emma's digestive
and it
system.
won't be a coincidence.
Yeah. So, I'm excited for it. We've had a few days of alcohol, so...
2.
Excuse me.
We're coming to terms with our relationship with alcohol during quarantine, and I think we all bring out the worst in each other.
But you can taste the apricot hue through the bourbon, see?
I can't, personally.
Is it?
Yeah, I taste bourbon.
I mean, it's also not the best bourbon, but there we go.
I must say it's not my favourite of the drinks that we've had, but only because I'm not a big bourbon fan.
Yeah, I mean, fair play. And now, if anyone, podcast listeners, I've opened a tin of apricots. Does anyone have any other suggestions what to do with the rest of the apricots? And I opened a tin of pineapple for our last episode. So we just have all this tinned opened fruit. And we're not really the biggest...
tin fruit people.
A trifle?
Sounds like blended drinks tomorrow.
Yes, I think we'll make some...
breakfast something? I don't know.
Good luck to us.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. So, coincidence. We have done some research on this because I know there's a lot of people out there who would be like, there's no such thing as coincidence. Like, it's just life. It's just how it happens. And I do kind of fall into that, yeah. But it's so exciting when something happens. Why not celebrate it?
I think, like, it's a coincidence when, like, for example, my mum and her sister, who actually have very different styles as people, but whenever we meet, they'll be wearing almost the exact same thing. And you know, that you might call that a coincidence, but then that doesn't seem like a real coincidence, because obviously they're similar age, they grew up at the same time, they had the same parents, so there's going to be some sort of similar conditioning in them that makes them attracted to the same sort of colours in the certain seasons. So that's maybe the type of coincidence where I go, okay, of course, that's sort of social, that's bigger than that. But a coincidence of, like, people on the other side of the world doing the same thing, or meeting people in random places. Sometimes I just think, what is that?
It happens so much on the London Underground. Like, I can be thinking about someone who I haven't thought about in bloody ages, and then for some reason we both get on at the same random platform, or they come and sit down next to me, and then I'm like, oh my god, hi. And you're just like, how and why?
That kind of thing I feel like always happens to me when people from outside of London are with me and I'm showing them around the city, and you run into someone while you're busy saying London is so busy and I never come to this part of the city because you're at the tourist attractions, and then you run into someone from university or someone. One time I ran into students who were very young that I taught here in Swindon, in London, while I was with Ingrid's parents. And it was just outside of Buckingham Palace. Like, it was like, how did that happen?
Yeah. And over the course of the year that's just happened, as we know, Jess had a breakup, and I had a lot of painful tube journeys where I was going Emma up, well, Emma knows because I was messaging her underground. I was going up and down the same blimmin' tube line, taking me like hours to get home because I was in just a daze and I was unfocused. So I'd like go too far and then I'd have to get off and come back the other way, and then I'd go too far again, I'd have to come back and go again, get on the wrong tube line. And then I remember one particular day, not too long ago, where I had done it so many times, I just was going up and down the Jubilee line like, Jess, can you please just focus and get off at the stop you need to? And then I managed to go too far again and got off. And then I bumped into somebody that I knew once from university who is a podcast listener and is a beautiful soul. Alex, I'll give you a shout out. Alex, you may remember I bumped into you at a Victoria Line underground. And I would never get off of that underground, but I just kept screwing up my journey. Yeah. And I was feeling so down, and just seeing Alex's face just suddenly was like, oh, hi, lovely human. And it was just, okay. I went up and down.
Fascinating,
but then we both ended up being on the platform at the same time. And to be on the same London platform at the same time is quite difficult.
Yeah.
So, Emma, we've got a few things here of like really huge coincidences that are reported in the media. So this is kind of example of something like, whoa. And this involves Anthony Hopkins, the actor, who is an actor in your favourite film, is it not, Emma?
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs.
Emma loves Silence of the Lambs, starring Anthony Hopkins. Oh, God, I was going to do a fluff burp. No, it's not there yet.
Okay.
So Anthony Hopkins, whilst preparing for his role in The Girl from Petrovka, wanted to find a version of the book, the original by George Pfeiffer, so he could study it before film began. I mean, that is a very intelligent actor methodology.
What a very good actor there.
But wherever he looked, he couldn't find a copy. Until one day he was sitting on the subway and he found a copy in the carriage on which he was travelling. So it was just laying down on a seat in the carriage. But then that's not the end, because then when Anthony Hopkins later met the author, Pfeiffer, Pfeiffer told him that he also didn't have a copy of the book. Why? Because he'd lent the last one to his friend who accidentally lost it on the subway.
Oh my goodness.
And Anthony Hopkins picked it up for his role.
That's a lot.
Coinky donkey dink.
That is a quinky dinky doo.
Ella is also just taking off her bra.
Yeah, and just suddenly getting nude in front of Jess.
We're nuzzling on down.
It's been a long day, and even this sport bra is a bit too tight on my girls.
Shout out to people wearing uncomfortable bras right now.
Yeah, let's liberate them. Except for that clothing doesn't look right without a bra, so I'm of two minds. Here we go, though.
I was trying to find a
Different topic.
coincidence about bras, but
no. I feel like it's its own topic.
Facts of life.
Boob day.
Who wants a podcast about bras? Yeah, so there is one kind of, this is what we mean. Like, that is extraordinary.
That's outrageous.
It's outrageous, extraordinary, coinky do. Emma, have you got any memories of your own coinky do coincidence experiences?
As I was writing this, I was like, oh, there's these sort of things. Like, obviously, I met my wife, who we just moved to Swindon, for both from different countries. That seems super unlikely. And that's beautiful, but I feel like I've talked about that story a lot. And I also feel like when I'm home in Toronto in particular, I run into random people from parts of my life by chance all the time. But I have one story of coincidence which is outrageous, to the point where my mum still doesn't believe it's coincidence.
It is huge. In fact, Emma, I'm just going to nuzzle on down for this story.
My mum still says, well, that's really fishy. I don't think it's coincidence. Still, she'll say that.
Yeah.
She'll listen to this and go, I'm right, though. But anyways, 2 Christmases ago now, my family, my sister, her husband, my parents, my niece, all came to the UK to visit me. And we spent a few days all together in London. Ingrid's brother came from Italy as well. So there was all of us together. And I took my niece to a show at Jackson's Lane in Highgate in the morning. She's 3. She loved it. It was a gingerbread man. Then we were hanging out in a park as a whole group, and my parents decided to take my niece back to nap time so my sister could stay out. This is a lot of backstory, but we decided on a whim to go, oh, do you know what? We can get a bus to Camden from here, and there's a really good vegan burger place that my friend from Swindon has recommended to me. So we get to Camden, and actually it's down the canal and outside of Camden, this one. It's called Temple of Satan. It's so good. Apparently there actually is one in Camden town now, but when we went to the one like probably 10 minutes walk outside of Camden in a more residential area on its way to King's Cross.
And we walked out the way.
Yeah, like out the way. You had to make a point to go there.
Yeah.
And we're sitting and we're eating our burgers. We're by a window, and at one point my sister suddenly goes, oh my God, and grabs my leg. And everyone at the table goes tense. And behind me walks my ex, walking into the toilet. And then they walk out and go back and sit down at the table, literally outside, but outside the window, so that they were essentially sitting opposite me. I can see their face. We go, oh my God. I hadn't seen them since the breakup. My family definitely hadn't seen them. And they were actually very, very close with my sister. So the 3 days in the year that my sister is visiting, and my sister never visits. She's visited London twice since I've lived here in 7 years. Mm-hmm. Is the moment when we run into this person. Decided to be the bigger person and went and said Merry Christmas. But and Ingrid introduced herself. I was like, hi, I'm Ingrid. But the rest of the day we were all so shaken, and not so much just because this is a person that has had an impact on me and the family, but was just like, what the fuck? Yeah. How did that happen?
How?
They don't live, or at least I don't think they lived in that area anymore. Because when we lived together, we lived in the borough of Camden. Yeah. I don't live in London. No. My family definitely doesn't live in London. And I don't even think they're vegan.
So why Temple of Satan?
So why were they there? It was just like, what the
And
hell?
like on that day, at that time, at that second, on that table.
Exactly. Wearing the jumper that I gave them.
Really?
Yeah. It was
Even
all
that is
just
another
like,
layer.
so is this, and then after this, we started talking about this, because obviously it's very uncomfortable for Ingrid. Very uncomfortable for me, because we didn't end things on the best of terms. And then we start talking about, like, why did this happen? Was it because it was so much to the point that my mum has this, she's convinced that my ex knew we would be there. But there's no way. We already checked. There was no, social media check-ins. No one said where they were. No one's connected. So there was no way of knowing. But maybe this is the universe saying to them or to me, I don't know who it was for, but it was for both of us, the moment of, okay, we've moved on, and when we see each other in public, we can actually be civil together. And it was like a meant to be end of package. Who knows?
Because, Emma, as you say, you did go out and wish Merry Christmas to them, which was something that maybe a month before that or something were not words that you would have been able to say.
Yeah, of course.
Like, so it is so strange. And I remember you texting me, and it is unbelievable. It's unbelievable to this day. Like, how can these two people be in that such unique spot?
Yeah. Yeah.
And as you say, that did then cause such a strong emotional reaction for you for a long time, right? So
the whole family, we went back. We were sort of shocked by this. My sister, who is a young mother of 2 children and doesn't really drink, said, are there any clubs we can go to now? Day clubs?
Oh.
She was like, I just need a shot.
Yeah.
And we went home, and my parents ended up talking about their exes, and it became a night of us all just being like, ah!
Yeah.
But, and the funniest part of the story I actually forgot, because when my ex did come in, we all went, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Me and my sister and her husband and Ingrid obviously knew what was going on, but my Ingrid's brother was with us, and I hadn't realised, over from Italy, I hadn't realised that we hadn't articulated why we were acting that way. And suddenly my sister says, oh my God, do you know what's going on? And he said, I'm really sorry, I put too much hot sauce in the ketchup. They genuinely thought that we were just all reacting like that.
Oh, Andrea.
What a sensitive soul.
Yeah. But that, I think, because maybe of Emma's experience, I mean, I haven't been on the tube in so long now. It feels so strange.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's been many tube rides where I don't have a slight, like, owl eye. I mean, like, owls turning the 360 heads. Because I just feel like maybe I could bump into my ex at this station.
Of course.
And, oh my God, I avoid the central line for certain reasons, for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
But every now and then I do have to go onto it. If ever I have to travel out east, I am holding in my guts.
Do you know, I just remembered another coincidental moment right after your breakup, when we suddenly had to book a hotel because we weren't going to go home.
Oh my God.
There was no hotels left available in London except for the hotel that was literally behind Jess's ex's place of work. So we had to go there and then get up early in the morning and walk past that place. And it was just a very sort of emotive place to have to stay.
Yeah, it was I didn't want to see the titles on the road signs like I knew what this area was. But then, Emma, also the stage 2 coincidence, Emma and I this was the night where I hadn't yet been home. It was very soon after I was walked out on. And I needed fucking clothes.
Yeah, underwear.
So that is why Emma travelled to London to go back to the flat with me to just grab a bag of stuff. And then we got to the hour where we were going to go back. We had a couple of wines. And then we were going on our way back to my flat to grab some stuff. And I was ready for it, which was, well, I felt ready with Emma by my side. And it got to a point where I actually said, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
Yeah.
So that is when we booked this funny hotel. And then we found out, we were under the impression that my ex was in a completely different part of the country. Yeah. It turned out that she was in our bedroom.
So actually, the coincidence of us staying at the workplace was only part 1, because part 2 is if we had decided to go home, where we were planning to stay, like we hadn't booked a hotel because we were both going to stay there. If we had gone home, because we'd been led to believe that the home was empty, and Jess didn't want to go home because of the home, not because of the ex.
Yeah.
We would have had to share a bed with that person.
Like, that is so... But something inside of me was just like, no.
Yeah.
But I think going off of... I suppose I've got a lot of... I've written a few things down, podcast listeners, but I'm more like, that's just how life rolls. Such as, for example, I didn't go to university at 18. I ended up going at 23. And actually that turned out to be the best decision because of the things that happened then. I met Emma.
Hi.
But, hi. But one thing that was a coincidence, I remember I've been backpacking for a few months. I went backpacking in Southeast Asia. And I was reflecting on life, as you do, when I was by myself that whole time. And I loved it. And I thought a lot about my life journeys. And there are a few people that I was thinking about who I was very grateful to. I've said before, I struggled a lot with my mental health. And when I went backpacking, it was a little bit of, I was feeling better and I was kind of ready for a little bit of a change and a new, fresh life. And I thought about people who had been really, like, lovely to me, but I didn't really know. So I worked in a retail shop, in a clothes shop, and I was very poorly at that time. And there was just this lovely girl called Natalia. And Natalia was just always so sweet to me. Other people thought I was a bit weird. Weird as in I was just very depressed. I was just a little bit sad. And Natalia was so sweet to me. I didn't know her, hardly spoke to her, but she would always just kind of be like, "You're right, Jess." And when I was quite poorly after that, she sent me just the odd text message being like, "You've got this, you're really strong. I can't wait to see you again." And whilst I was away backpacking, I thought about her. I was like, I remember that Natalia. So I did know her, but she was always so kind to me. I got the whole plane home. I was walking off the plane on the back end of the plane.
Yeah.
I see ahead of me on the front end of the plane steps, Natalia.
No way. So you were on the same flight?
On the same flight. And then I managed to catch up with her and I was like, Natalia. And she didn't recognise me because I looked a bit different from when I was a bit poorly sick. And then I was like, "It's Jess from Topshop." There we go, Topshop, that's where I worked. Great discount. And she was just like, "Oh my God." And it was so strange because I didn't know how to say to her, "I know you probably haven't thought about me in 10 years.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about how kind you were to me whilst I was away. And I just want to, and it was quite nice because then I was able to say thank you."
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I think travel is the weirdest. My dad has a very particular laugh.
It's so good.
Anyone who knows him, he's immediately identifiable by his laugh. But there's been 2 occasions in my life where we've been traveling with him. One was in immigration at Heathrow where he laughed and someone went, "Peter Bar," and it was a work someone, but someone who knew him and came over and spoke to us that whole time. Not on the same flight as us, but just happened to know him. And then another occasion was we were on a family trip to the Bahamas and my dad and my brother and I decided to go bubble subbing, which is like a scooter under the water with a bubble over your head, basically. Look it up. Right. It's outrageous. We actually have a video of our bubble subbing trip. But while they're like, "Okay, you're going to do this with another mother and her son." At random. And then this woman came in and she used to work with my dad and we were in the Bahamas again.
Yeah.
Not in like a particularly Canadian resort because you might have those, but it was just a place where we were on a holiday doing this excursion outside of our hotel at random that we decided to do, and this other woman is there. It's just, I find that really crazy.
And did they have a chat? Was it like...
We spent the whole day with her.
Right, yeah.
And her son.
Yeah. And I suppose, Emma, that is like people knowing each other from before.
Yeah.
Whereas Emma and Emma's wife, Ingrid, and myself, we sometimes reflect on the fact that as a 3, we're really close and our energies match, our personalities just all slot into this formation that just really works. And we're very happy together.
Yeah, Jess.
In our threesome.
In our relationships.
Absolutely. But we didn't know each other before. And we are somebody from the UK, Canada and Italy who somehow have formed this unit and it just works and it's really cool. But then, since then, I've got more interested in Italians.
Yeah.
Point earlier about seeing somebody from a different country. But now I find everything around me is becoming Italian. Now, they do say about coincidences that the more that you are kind of open to them or in tune with them or believe in them, that you then might see something as a coincidence. But even like I just moved really quickly into a new house share and I moved in with an Italian. Yeah. I moved in with an Italian Taurus, which is very specific learning to the person that I'm interested in.
Another Italian Taurus.
Another Italian Taurus. And therefore I've learnt so much about Taurus, which I had no idea about before, which is a zodiac sign, by the way. Very different to mine. I'm a Gemini. I'm very loud. You can't shut me up. I'm crazy.
Listen to last week's episode on astrology. I feel this similarly about moving to Swindon, though, because I moved to Swindon. This job opportunity came up exactly at the time when I was immediately single and needed to move. My contract was able to start exactly when my home contract in London ended, and after all of my other work in London had finished, literally from one day to the next. I came to find a flat in Swindon. There were quite a few that I liked, but this one that we're in right now is number 92, which is my 2 favorite numbers put together. And there was just like signs that made me feel like, oh, I'm doing the right thing. I'm stepping in the right direction.
She's giving out a whole address. We edited it out, but she just gave out a whole address, so we realised GDPR.
It's just, I really like the words in my address, and I feel like it really spoke to spoke to me, and was suddenly like, oh, is this coincidence, or did I make it happen because I followed things and I was looking for things to make me feel good about this? Yeah,
maybe you were following symbols and signs which got you to this place. And Emma, you were saying about how kind of work and everything fell into place, and I'm just going to quickly touch upon the old COVID-19, because
that
old thing, remember that one? So I feel that I've seen some people say, thank God I just signed onto this job, and I got into a secure, I don't know, system where you're able to get some money, like via furlough or something from it. But at the same time, there might be enough people thinking, oh God, what a coincidence that I left, I don't know, even freelance work and I became full-time. But at the same time, there's a lot of people who just left secure finances.
What, a year to go self-employed.
Yeah, some people went self-employed and they
get pregnant or whatever it might be.
Yeah, so on the other hand, there's also people being like, no, this is just shit.
Yeah.
But I think what happens is that Emma and I are both in a bit of position, which is why we're giving you 2 episodes a week, where things are not falling into our... things are not going well. Yeah. We are not in a great position. Cheers. This is why it tastes of bourbon more than apricot.
Yeah.
But so we're not in that position. But I do have faith, Emma Barr, that something somewhere along the line will be like, okay, this happened like this, but then this happened. The symbols guaranteed us this secure position maybe in the future.
But I also think on the other side of that, you can't just like wait for the symbols. And the coincidences come from you working still. So we have changed things in our lives by still searching and trying things.
Yeah, we're not just sitting and waiting, we're very active. This is not to say that you should be active right now, because trust me, we have just come through 3 days of laying vertical. Horizontal.
3 days of so many. In fact, on Monday morning, Jess and I are doing our best to try and get started on our working week, and Ingrid comes into the room and says, can we talk about the future? And that conversation ended with all 3 of us in bed crying.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you can't work right now, good on you. Just play it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. So Emma, should we have a little look at some other like wild incidences?
Yeah, incidents.
Okay, so I'm not going to read this, but I do. If anybody watches The Simpsons,
I think that's incredible.
Should we read it?
Yeah.
So The Simpsons predicted Trump for president way back in 2000.
They also predicted coronavirus.
They did, didn't they?
Yeah. And the killer hornet bees, which are now in North America.
So what is going on with The Simpsons then? But it has been, it says it's been known to accurately predict all sorts of things. But an impressive one, and relevant right now, ... and depressing, wholeheartedly agree, was guessing that Donald Trump would become president. We didn't see it coming. You didn't see it coming. But The Simpsons definitely saw it coming way back in the year 2000. Yeah, is that a coincidence? How do they know? There's so... I mean, 1984, the book 1984, people are predicting stuff.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. A little plosive for you all.
There's a few things here about plane crashes and boat sinkings with like people who have been on them. So let's just touch in with this Dutch cyclist. He escaped not 1 but 2 major plane crashes in his life. Oh my gosh. Okay. Right. This is huge. Podcast listeners. So this Dutch cyclist has escaped not 1 but 2 major plane crashes. Not only was he supposed to be on board the missing Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, remember that one?
Terrifying.
It was terrifying.
I don't understand still how a plane can go missing on our planet.
I know. And, it was really sad. But he was supposed to be on that. And then he was supposed to take another flight, which is the Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, which was one that was shot down over Ukraine in 2014. But he changed flights to one that was going to save him a bit more money.
Oh my gosh.
So 2 major disasters on those Malaysia Airlines.
Wouldn't fly ever.
Yikes.
Scary. Do you know about Unsinkable Molly Brown?
Tell us.
So she was on, I want to say 3, but I haven't actually looked it up. 3 major ships that sunk in the Atlantic. The third one she was on was Titanic, and she survived all 3.
Yes, she's on here.
Yeah.
Here she is. There she is.
I don't know if it's 3.
Oh, this is another one. This is Violet Jessup.
Oh.
Yeah. So again, those kind of feelings. Right, who's had this? Oh my gosh, podcast listeners, please write in to @FluffCreatives on our Instagram or Twitter, or @FluffInquiries@gmail.com with any of your coincidental experiences. But you know when you're like, I was about to get on that flight, or I was about to get on something and this happened. Mm-hmm. I just want to say that this might come with a bit of difficulty or some hardships they've experienced. But yeah, there is a feeling of something keeping you safe, which I think is why it's fascinating.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. What sort of that energy or force that is helping you to make the right choice in the right moment, or that is making the choice for you, I guess.
Yeah, is it instinct? Is it something guiding your instinct, or is it just something else completely controlling you?
Or is it just plain old probability?
Speaking of probability, Emma Barr, how nicely you led me into about if you are going to have the same birthday as somebody, how many people need to be in a room? 23, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So for you to have the same birthday as somebody, 23 people could be in the room for that chance to happen.
Yeah, so that's a probability of 1 or 2 in 23 would have the same birthday.
And here is a common types of coincidences. So things which are a coincidence, but maybe not as likely. So we're starting from the bottom. An object reappearing, something you've been looking for, and then, there we go.
Yeah.
It could appear in any place. That could be Anthony Hopkins' kind of story with a book. And then moving up from an object reappearing, a matching name with somebody. I don't know, Emma, you went on a date with somebody called Emma.
Yeah.
Coincidence? I don't...
Well, I think it's just quite a common... I used to have... Well, here's a coincidence thing. When I was single and I was on dating apps, I was convinced that every single lesbian in Western world was named Emma, Jessica, Sophie, or Rosie. Those were like the 4 names, and that happened to be my group at the time.
Yeah.
But they were coming up everywhere, versions of that, like Sophia, Rose, Emily.
Yeah.
And I just was like, is that a coincidence, or is that everyone around my age, those are the most popular girls' names?
Yeah. So we're not denying just that that's just how it is. But also, we're just quite interested in taking something extra from it, because why not?
Yeah,
Life's
of course.
fun. But the most common type of coincidence is finding a link with someone you meet. So I suppose that could be that, right, I know what this is. Let's talk about twins and triplets.
Sure,
separated at birth and then we find each other. I mean, there's a lot of Netflix documentaries about this now.
Yeah, fantastic ones.
Because it happens more than we might think. Twins who were separated at birth, triplets. And the one example that we've got here, so these are twins from Ohio. They were separated at birth and grew up without any knowledge of each other's existence. Their lives did, however, share a number of strange similarities. They were both named James on their adoptions.
Wow.
So their respective adopted parents, both of them James. They both grew up to be police officers and both married women named Linda. What? But that's not all. They each had a son, one named James Allen, with 2 L's in Allen, and the other one had a kid called James Allen with 1 L in Allen.
Wow.
They each, oh my God, my mind. They each had a dog called Toy. They both got divorced and ended up remarrying a woman named Betty. That is why that is number 1.
That is outrageous.
Whoa.
What?
See, what is that then,
Yeah.
everybody? I'm not, that is just universe doing universe weird shit.
That's incredible.
Oh, that's the delivery of what we ordered.
I don't know.
I haven't ordered anything, have you?
Well, yeah, loads of things, but I can't remember what it is.
Ingrid, what is it?
I don't know.
No one knows. Maybe it's a coincidence and something about to be... what would you like to be delivered right now?
I don't know.
I'd like to have delivered right now the Italian from the other country.
Or beer.
An Italian with beer. If they could turn up right now, I'd be a very happy lady. Emma.
Yes. Well, I was going to take us on to... I did some research, not so much in coincidence, but in déjà vu.
Yes.
And what the concept of déjà vu is.
Oh! Actually, Ingrid, come and sit with us.
What the heck?
This is... podcast listeners, do you want to know what it is?
Is this a coincidence?
Emma, what is it?
It is actually a coincidence.
What
They were
is it?
supposed to arrive a few days ago.
Oh my god!
Why? Because I love you.
Ingrid's got me flowers.
Oh!
Oh.
Wow, they're beautiful flowers.
Grazie.
There you go.
Isn't love beautiful? Isn't it just gorgeous? Ingrid, actually, whilst you're here, we're
Yes.
talking about coincidence with our podcast listeners. And it wasn't us who came up with this idea for a podcast episode, was it?
Yeah, I know. I think that it's an amazing topic, and sometimes maybe we don't say to each other, "Oh, actually, there was a coincidence," you know. So our relationship started almost for a coincidence. So
See.
I thought it was a good topic to go through.
Yeah. So this comes from Ingrid Tundo herself, everybody. Look at these beautiful flowers.
Thank you.
Maybe better in the next few days because
They're gonna open.
This is so cute.
What?
Right, so we're just gonna pause for a
Just-
moment. Emma, how you feeling after the delivery of flowers?
Well, that's outrageous, but she's so lovely, and why did she do it? Now, here's a weird
It's a
coincidence.
coincidence!
Here's a coincidence, because she said she bought them a few days ago, and actually, for the last 2 days, I've had really low emotion days.
You
I've been
poor little
really
thing, yeah.
unhappy, and so having them come today after that, I feel like it's
Whilst
better and more
recording-
appropriate than if they'd come before.
Yeah. And whilst recording an episode about coincidence.
Yeah.
Whilst recording a Fluff episode.
What a coincidence.
What a Oh my gosh, that was live, everybody. Honestly, that was not planned.
No, not at all. You can
That
hear the
was
buzzer,
so
I'm sure.
cute. Do you know what, Emma? I don't fucking care that it wasn't an Italian from another country. I'm really
thank you.
They're really
It was
beautiful
an Italian
flowers.
from this country.
See.
Someday for you, Jess. It's a very romantic culture.
So cute.
Okay, well, I was telling you about déjà vu, right? So, déjà vu literally means already seen in French. You're not with me.
No, I am with you. I just had a giggle because if anybody listened to Boris Johnson's speech on Sunday, when Boris Johnson said about the French phrase and he said it, couldn't translate it, and then said, I mean, everybody knows what this French phrase means. I was sitting at home for one being like, I have no idea what that French phrase means. Can you translate it for me, Boris Johnson?
Yeah.
He couldn't even translate the fucking phrase.
Yeah, that was outrageous and quite a silly moment for Boris, but that whole speech was a bit confusing. But anyways, déjà vu means already seen. So it's the feeling of experiencing something that you've already experienced. There's lots of ideas about what this means. And a lot of people think that it is related to sort of medical conditions. So there's a lot of linking it to epilepsy. But that being said, 70% of the population experience it, and not a lot of people have epilepsy. So there's got to be other explanations for it. So I found another article which is explaining some possible explanations. Some of them more spiritual, some of them just, oh, of course. Number 1, you're not paying attention.
No, I am.
No, that's number 1.
Oh! I was in such deep thought. And then...
Number one is you're not paying attention. So actually your brain has registered it before you have cognitively. So then when you do finally click in, you're like, oh my God, deja vu. This one I feel like might be the main explanation for Jess. Number two, the experience actually did happen. So it is something you've experienced. You just maybe don't remember experiencing it.
Right, sure. Sure.
Which I think actually does come a lot up in trauma cases and trauma stories of remembering something that you haven't remembered experiencing.
And not just the experience itself, but the emotions. If you're like feeling the same emotions, which are maybe a trigger for that experience,
exactly.
Then you're like, I felt this before, this is deja vu.
Yeah. You have a dominant eye. So one eye is registering faster than the other. So then your other eye's like, wait a second, deja vu. Literally already seen.
A dominant eye. I love that. How cool is our body?
Another one is you need more sleep.
Right.
You're just too slow because you're not sleeping enough.
Yeah.
Another thing is your brain is healthy. Your brain is able to figure out the past and the present. So your brain should be experiencing this because it's a processing thing. Now here's where it gets a bit more spiritual. It happened in a past life. I like to believe this one. I'm all about past and future lives. And maybe it's an encounter that you had or similar to an encounter you had in a past life or a place you've been in a past life.
Right.
I like to believe in that. You're experiencing precognitive dreams, which means you're dreaming of the future.
Ooh.
Again, a spiritual
one. So it didn't happen. It's going to happen.
No, you're experiencing it happening, but you feel like it's already happened, but that's because you dreamt it happening.
Oh, right. Got you.
And then the last one, they say, is you're just on the right path in life.
That's nice.
You're in a place where you were meant to be.
Yeah. And I suppose sometimes the feeling of deja vu is like a affirmation.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like solidifying it. It's like, oh, yeah, I've had this feeling before and I'm feeling it again. Yeah. I kind of want deja vu feelings to happen more often because when they happen, they're so like, whoa.
Yeah.
And it's such a, I don't know, I like it when I'm taken a bit out of body and I'm made to feel.
As long as it's in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when deja vu happens, it's just like a signal for me that life is just not as linear as we think. There's a lot of powers happening around.
Yeah.
So, podcast listeners, this is really like an exploration for us. We're fascinated with it. We've typed it in on Netflix and we haven't quite got like everything that we want. So, has anyone here got any stories about coincidence, deja vu, which will just blow everyone's minds?
Yeah, we would love to hear from you. And we love sharing our listeners' stories as well. It's really exciting, not just for us, but also to sort of say, look at this crazy one that we've come across.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we finish our episode today, then we have an announcement to make, which you might already know from listening to our other episode that's come out today. But Jessica is turning 30 in a few weeks' time, and we want to celebrate with our Fluff listeners by hosting Jess's big birthday bonanza.
Yay!
Which is basically an opportunity for you to win some epic prizes. And the way that you get involved in Jess's big birthday bonanza... Wow!
I'm really feeling it.
Is that you need to go on a quest to find the fluffiest of fluffy items possible. And we mean go big. I don't want just like a pom-pom. I want the fluffiest of fluffy. And there are 3 categories in which you can win. So there'll be 3 winners across the next few weeks. Prize number 1 goes to, obviously, the genuine fluffiest of all the submissions.
Yeah.
The second goes to the funniest fluffy item.
Make us laugh.
Yeah.
And Make me laugh for my belly.
Goes to the funkiest.
Yeah. I'm looking for popping people.
Yeah. So what you need to do is you need to go on your quest, find your item, take a picture of it, or a picture of you with it, or a boomerang of it, whatever you want.
Get
a video
creative.
even. Post it on your social media and tag @FluffCreatives. and we will share it on our platform as well, ready to celebrate Jess's big birthday bonanza. And then she will pick, because it's her birthday, so it's her party, she'll cry if she wants to, and she will pick on her birthday, which is the 31st of May.
That's right.
And we will send out those prizes afterwards.
Exactly. So 3 prizes. And also, if you want to submit a photo for each category, the fluffiest of the fluffy, the funkiest and the funniest, please be our guest.
Yeah, share as many as you like.
And basically, my motto in life, as I said before, is be bold, be brave. So we are looking for outrageous, aren't we, Emma?
And be fluffy.
Yeah. Like, we have a little fluffy rug here, and we have a little fluffy coat. So we're looking for next level.
We're looking for surprising. Or I am. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jess gets to pick. So I think, what would Jess like? She'd like kind of crazy things.
But
I'm
Jess
sure.
always cares about Emma's opinion as well. So Emma will be invested in this.
I won't say anything. I'll just have to read my face.
I
Which
know
is
how
like
to
a
read
book.
your face. I literally know when she's disapproving, when she's happy, when she's... It's the eyebrow raise. It's all in the eyebrow.
I just like everyone to know where they stand with me at all times.
Clear as day.
Yeah.
So can't wait for these submissions. Please, this is my idea of birthday fun.
Yeah, don't forget to tag us.
Yay! Thank you so much for listening to Coincidence. Do try our cocktail if you like. But other than that, take care, wonderful listeners. You know we love you lots. Cheerio!
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to rate and subscribe.
We're excited to welcome you into our Fluff family and bring you some gorgeous sparkles every Friday.
Oh,